Welcome to Behind Them Sticks with your host, Ham Solo. This is my guest today, Woolley Gamer. What's happening, man? How you doing?
So, brother, I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure as well. All right, so before we get into, the questions, because as you know, this is Behind Them Sticks. Like I said, I'm your boy Ham Solo. What we're doing, as before, we're going to be talking to Woolley Gamer, just kind of figuring out a little bit of who he is, what he likes, what he doesn't like, and kind of keep it moving, have some fun conversation, and go ahead and do that. So let's move forward. Let's start off with asking you, what gaming and social platforms are you on? What do you like to use? What do you want people to know? Like, how do you want people to know to get a hold of you and whatnot?
I'm I'm on mostly Twitter and YouTube are my platforms. I'm not really a Facebook guy. I'm not really an Instagram guy. I'm certainly not a TikTok guy. I've stayed
Me neither.
well. I stayed well clear of that.
No dancing.
On Twitter, you can find me as Woolley_Gamer. Um, and if you just type Woolley Gamer, that's WOOLLEY, Gamer, all one word, no space, in YouTube, I pop right up. And I have a gaming podcast on there called the Worldwide Company of Gamers, formerly known as the Company of Gamers, but I recently rebranded it just this week, in fact.
Okay.
Um, and Yeah, my primary gaming platforms are PlayStation and PC. They're the main ones. I had a Switch for a short amount of time, but I went through some tough times 4 years ago, and so I sold it, and I've just never gone back to getting one again. Uh,
Okay.
but yeah,
Fair enough. Fair
so yeah.
enough. Well, let's talk more about that podcast or whatnot you got. The Worldwide Company of Games.
Yeah, the Worldwide Company of Gamers. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk more about that. So, what kind of content do you guys make?
So it's kind of reflected in the name, but uh, it's gamers kind of all in company with one another, from all over the world.
Hmm.
But what really sets this podcast apart is I had the goal of ensuring that the panel has some members that have a an authority behind them. And when I say authority, I mean professional credentials that gives them kind of not only a greater amount of knowledge than I have in many fields like social not social computer engineering and computer science and software engineering and stuff like that. Um,
Very
and so
cool.
I approached Leviathan Gamer and Sev Davis, or XB Seb Davis he's called on Twitter, or DZ for short, as he's known as, um, in the DMs on Twitter. And Sev is a game dev. He's a game developer, and I'm good friends with him on Twitter. And a Leviathan Gamer, he's well known in the community and very well respected as an authority in the community because he has a great knowledge in not only how in coding and stuff like that, but particularly how games are made and games are designed and design choices made. And he can give a perspective about games that kind of really kind of open the doors in your head and let you kind of learn and appreciate and respect games more. So with that being said, I approached them and I was like, look, I've been wanting to make a podcast for over a year now. I want it to stand out. I don't want it to be all about Game Pass all the time. And
I
it
feel that.
always falls into this trope, into how much a game costs, Game Pass, and how shit Xbox is doing.
That's so
And
boring.
honestly, bro, that it's all well and good. I love listening to podcasts where those subjects are brought up, but they do it better than me. So there's no point, right?
I feel
There's no
like
point in
if you don't mind me interjecting, I feel like you can go so like I mean, kind of like what you said. You can go so many places to hear that. So like to hear
listening.
something a little bit fresher, where you have somebody that has some kind of like credentials behind them, where it's just not just jibber jabber from one side to the other, coming back and going forth and whatnot. So I mean, I really like your idea. Continue.
Yeah. So and little did I know how out of my depth I would feel on the panel, but I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about wanting to learn, man. I just wanted to learn, and so yeah, they were excited. Lev was like, I would absolutely. Sorry, Leviathan Gamer was like, I would absolutely love to do a podcast with you.
That's so dope.
He's been wanting to do one himself for a while, and he's a busy guy. He lives off caffeine. He never sleeps, and he works his ass off, and he plays a lot of Halo, and that's literally the epitome of Leviathan Gamer. And Seb Davis, he's a model. He works full time as a game developer. He's a very social guy. He's very, very busy. So I wasn't expecting him to say yes either, but he was like, bro, crying emoji, love heart. I'd be honored. I can't believe you asked me. And I was like, who is this humble guy? He's so humble, yet he's so talented. It's ridiculous, right?
You know, they're
So
just people.
yeah, they were just people, bro, just humble people. And so I was like, well, okay, then let's do this. So we had a team of three. Then I asked my brother um, Remnant Gaming, or Gaming Despair, as he's called. And if he was down, because I like the way that he speaks, I like the way that he articulates himself. And I got a few gamers kind of just on board. And Akira ended up being a guest a couple of times, and then
Yeah,
I
he
asked
was
him, would
on
you
one of
like
your
to be a
last
permanent
episodes,
member?
if I remember.
Yeah, and now he's a permanent member of the panel.
Nice. He has a
Um,
lot of spaces. He talks about all sorts of stuff.
well, he's too addicted to that Spaces, man. I keep pulling his leg about it.
Maybe.
Spaces is becoming the new TikTok. Just you wait. And and this guy called Wilhelmowski. Akira introduced me to him. He was 16 at the time. He's now 17. Well, here's a 16-year-old kid who's like John Linneman. He knows everything about retro gaming, and he has this deep appreciation. Like, I reckon he came out of his mother's womb with a Gameboy Advance in his hand. I swear down. And I was shocked by his knowledge, and he sounds identical to Herman Holst. His accent, his voice, it's crazy. So
And he's
he
16.
got, yeah, and he's 16. He got on board, and then we would have guests, and I'd try and choose my guests where they could bring, either they have a wealth of knowledge of games because they've been passionate gamers for a long time, or they're just really cool people that I follow or I know, and they know me as guests. But I also like to get guests on who kind of I don't know as well, but I know are quite high in demand, maybe because they have experience and knowledge. So I got my friend Cesar Exposito on, and I had HD Gamer join us, as well as um, trying to think of other, like, I don't know. I've just had a few, and then David Jaffe, believe it or not, jumped on one of them, which I couldn't believe. I was like, bloody
That's
hell!
insane,
So
man.
it's been taking off. I've gone from 200 subscribers to 550 in a little over 3 months. So it's picking up, and
Get it,
we've
man.
just had our
Get it.
14th episode yesterday or the day before. And
Yeah.
it was last night. And it was lit. It was the best episode yet, because we dived into SSD architecture and how not only does it change game design, it can directly impact the visuals of a game. In other words, it doesn't make the GPU better, no, but it gives the GPU more to render. It allows the GPU to be able to render more, and not over its limit, but there are more assets that can be fed to be displayed on screen.
It's just constantly ready.
RAM,
in other words, it's
yeah,
constantly ready.
because the RAM isn't worrying about keeping in memory the things that you need for the next room, because the SSD can load that in when it's ready. So the RAM can be focused on the whole RAM can be focused on purely what's going to be in the room that you're in. And so, with that being said, more can be displayed. You can achieve higher graphics, things that you've not seen before. But there are also bottlenecks, and we talked about that as well. What potential bottlenecks will we run into? And between Mayor Tech Rants and HD Gamer, and Mayor Tech Rants, he was on Moore's Law is Dead's podcast, because he's got a lot of knowledge. That kid, he's a knowledgeable lad, and he was on Moore's Law is Dead's podcast not too long ago. So, and him and HD Gamer and Leviathan were just blowing my mind in what they were saying, and it's just my job to ask the right questions.
You're just like, I'm just the mailman.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask the right questions, and I'm gonna chip in when I can, but you guys take the mic, and bloody hell, mate, watch the episode. It is lit. It is phenomenal. So
that sounds really exciting, and you know what I'm really liking is your variety. It's just a variety of just all sorts of different types of people. So it's just not a bunch of. I mean, it's really easy to get called or get caught into you are a fan of only this, and that's super annoying. And I'm sure even the people or whatever, people hate that. I mean, nobody really likes to watch that kind of stuff. So when you have people arguing a little bit, or or one person knows something that's coming and somebody else doesn't quite know it, or you have a good opportunity to dive into each other's like types of games and power behind the consoles or power behind the GPU or CPUs and all this stuff, it's really exciting to watch these people debate and be the kind of the messenger in between, saying, hey, what do you think about this? All right, now what do you think?
Every podcast, I always say this, right? Every podcast needs a mooch. And I wish every podcast had a mooch, because Mooch is awesome. I love that guy. He does the Crossfire podcast, and he's got the perfect voice for radio. He's just so much fun to listen to. I love that guy. But yeah, I'm no Mooch, but I can at least aspire to be. So that's the goal.
That's the goal.
Credit to him. Yeah, that's the goal. But I love what you're doing, man. So you have a podcast too, right?
Yeah. So it's on the same channel that this show is on. But we just talk about all sorts of different kind of things. Not Hawaiian really like an update.
Hawaiian guy's on your podcast too, isn't he? Hawaiian guy? Wait. Is that his name? Hawaiian guy?
Oh, yeah. I was actually on his podcast. Him and Bango Mango and a bunch of other people had a Talk Game podcast. And that was a lot of fun. But I'm actually with Loke and my lady, which is Kalela Plays. She's on Twitter as well. Yeah, Kalela Plays. Yeah. So when we were initially having a kid, my daughter, which happens to be my first gamer tag's name that I've ever had, I named her Rain, and that was my first gamer tag. As I had a gamer tag called Rain95, but I don't have that anymore. But so I named her that. But my idea was, if she was a boy, I was gonna name him Kal-El, because I love Superman. That's my jam.
But mate, that's legit. That's
I ended up having a daughter, so I named her Rain, because I was like, oh, that's a really pretty name and it sounds cool, and I have and it has to do with what I love. I love gaming and whatnot. So I told her.
OT. Sorry, I was just gonna say, my friend OT, who's also a panel member on my podcast.
I know Odie. I know Odie off of Twitter.
Yeah. OT's he's got a story to tell you. Let me tell you, he's a phenomenal guy. And he's just had a baby daughter, and her gamer name is Wolf. because he loves Sniper Wolf and everything in Metal Gear Solid, same as me. So I've got two Metal Gear Solid tattoos. This one,
Damn.
and a big one on my arm. So yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
big Metal Gear Solid fan.
So
So,
my other partner would love you, which I'm pretty sure he already. I'm pretty sure he already follows you on Twitter. I'm not sure, but Loke7. Yeah,
oh, freaking
he's
way!
my co-host for. They said we said whenever we actually do our like streams and longer shows with Kalela plays.
I'm gonna have
Yeah,
to make sure I'm following. Make sure I'm following both of you. Bloody hell, I've not checked. I'm gonna
I
go
know
on
you're
Twitter.
following me on Twitter, but anyways, let's get back into the questions, bro. I got a few
Yeah,
fun
absolutely.
ones to ask you. So one of the first ones I want to ask you, which you should be pretty quick to answer it, is like, what's one of the first things that you would tell somebody that's first kind of getting into streaming for the first time? What's something that you would tell them? Hey, don't forget to do this.
Okay, so the first thing I would say I would recommend is first of all, it's okay to feel out of your depth. It's okay to feel uh, unqualified and overwhelmed because that's how I still feel to this day.
Yeah, I
So
feel like that right now.
yeah, yeah. My good friend Saltiest Gaming, he's blowing up 1,000 subscribers every couple of weeks on YouTube.
Wow.
He went from 7,000 to 17,000 in 11 months. So it's crazy, and he feels like it's never enough. Like he's not the subscriber base, not that the quality of his content isn't enough. That he needs to do better. That he's always kicking himself down and he's feeling shit about like he never feels good enough, and so he's always pushing himself to do better, right? So you get that's perfectly fine to feel that way. Do not quit, right? That's the thing. Do not give up. You will always get supportive members of the community to give you the right words at the right time, and I get that in spades, right? People love will go, hey man, just come across this on YouTube. Wow, really love this content. Keep up. And it's like, wow, holy shit, wasn't expecting that, and that's amazing. And it gives you this boost, right? So do not fret about that. Second, either ask a friend, a YouTuber, a streamer, how to use OBS. OBS is a very useful software on the PC.
Yes, it is.
Um, uh, O for Oscar, B for Bravo, S for Sugar. And I use the original OBS software, not the Streamlabs software, Streamlabs OBS. And I use the original. Just ask for a little help to get your head around how to use it and how to connect it up to YouTube, so that when you go to YouTube Studio and you click schedule stream, and then you're ready to go live, and all you have to do then is click on OBS start streaming, and wait for the green light to appear on your YouTube Studio. At the top right corner it'll say go live, and it'll go green and you can click it and then you're live. And so just take the time to figure out how to use it, and get used to it. Take a deep breath, take a deep dive into it, and your first video will be a bit rusty, especially if you're live and you're not pre-recorded it and edited it, but that's okay. That's okay. We were all there once, right? I'm still there now. I'm still rusty. My other bit of advice is give Canva a look. Now, Canva is how I make not only my thumbnails now, because they've improved dramatically, but I used it for my entire background, my animations, my layout, everything, the whole thing of the look of my podcast. It's all done on Canva, and Canva has all the preset kind of and freedom to edit and change and manipulate things into photos, into MP4 videos, and then you can literally have that MP4 video on a loop as an entire background for your podcast. And so it's just really useful. It's such a flexible, useful, easy tool. It's free, although I am subscribed because I want to support them. And it's £4 a month, but you can use it for free as well. There is a free version. And Canva, just Canva, type it in, give it a look. It makes everything so much easier. And it probably has the best cropping tool on the planet. Like, the auto crop is so accurate, where you can crop out a background out of a picture and just keep the main what you want.
Oh, yeah.
It does that really well. The background remover, it's spot on. So that's what I do. I use Canva, and it's a really accessible, easy to use and understand tool. People were recommending these video editors and photo editors, and I don't understand any of it. I was looking like, how the hell do I do this? How do I use this? It was so complicated, man. But Canva just made it easy for me. So, yeah, I'm recommending some easy software to use. I'm certainly not an influencer, a paid influencer. I'm not.
I was gonna say this is kind of feeling like a little bit of a commercial now.
No, I'm not. I just swear down. It's made me, being a noob, feel a lot more comfortable. And
yeah, confidence is big, man. As soon as something becomes easy, you're like, well, that's done. I'm gonna move on to something else and be able to focus more in on something else instead of busting 10 hours trying to crop this dumbass video.
Mate, they terrified me, bro. Like, they were anxiety for me. They would take me 6 hours sometimes, but now I can get a thumbnail done in 45 minutes. So it just made it so much easier. So yeah, that would be my advice. It's probably more practical than wishy-washy, but it is what it is.
Yep. Yeah, I absolutely love that answer. My one thing that I would say, which I know you didn't ask me the question, but what I'd say is, don't be scared to hit some people up, man. I mean, not everyone will respond, and I'm not saying spam everybody the same message. I'm just saying, hey, if somebody doesn't reach back out to you after you hit them up, move on. Hit up somebody else. Somebody will eventually respond back to you and say, hey, my mans,
really good,
you need to do this.
I'll tell you a story on that, right? I was told by DZ that I needed to change my name to Woolley the Audacity Gamer. And for 3 weeks, I had that as my name, Woolley the Audacity Gamer, because I had the audacity to just hit David Scott Jaffe up in public on Twitter. Yo, Jaffe, we need you tonight, right? We're discussing God of War. Are you down? And
that's tough.
And not just God of War. We were discussing a lot of the issues that I know really kind of floats his boat. Like, was this game too revealing for gamers today? Was this character too scantily clad for video games for it to be appropriate? There was all that outrage about that Project Eve,
Mm-hmm. Big time.
I knew there was some juicy topics, so I had the thumbnail ready. I posted the thumbnail, and I tagged David Scott Jaffe, and I went, Jaffe, we need you tonight. Are you game? So he could see the subjects that we were discussing. And after 2-3 hours, he went, maybe I'll let you know around 8. It's like, holy shit. And next thing you know, he jumped in midstream and completely, mind was blown. I'm speaking to the creator of God of War, and all the panel lost their shit. They just lost their shit, and we had a really good conversation. It was brilliant. And so
it's like the glass broke and you seen Stone Cold just walk in. You're like, what the hell just happened?
And so the moral of the story is, like you said, do not feel like it's like you're not worthy to ask. Don't feel embarrassed to ask, and don't just have that audacity for your channel to go, no, you know what, I'm going to message whoever I want to message to get them to come on the show. if they want to, and if they don't respond, they don't respond. But you will eventually get a yes. And if you get a yes, and it's somebody that you wanted on the show, and they're saying yes to it, then that makes you even more excited to keep doing what you're doing. So, yeah.
Just be somewhat prepared. Just be somewhat prepared if they say yes. Do not forget to have your stuff ready to go if they say yes. All right. Well, next question we're gonna go on to. That was awesome. That was a lot of answer to that question, but it was all great. I really liked it. So the next thing I'd like to ask you is with or more or less, let me see, if you were to, which I do this specific question on every single stream, if you were to if you were to think of a game that comes right off the top of your head when I name a console, can you do that?
I can try.
All right, so I'm gonna name the console. Like I said, I do this every episode. I'm gonna name the console. You say the first game that pops into your head. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Nintendo 64.
Mario.
Okay. PlayStation 2.
Oh shit. Shadow of the Colossus. I don't know why. It just did.
Okay. NES.
Mate, you're showing my lack of knowledge here because I'd never played NES.
No way.
Bro, I was a PlayStation 1 baby. I was PlayStation 1.
Somebody got a
PlayStation 2.
dusty ass NES laying around though.
Bro, honestly, I was playing Metal Gear Solid at 4 years old.
Wow.
1993, bro. I'm 1993. I was in that sweet spot where it was either you had a Nintendo 64 or you had a PlayStation. I didn't have both, and I wasn't old enough to appreciate a lot of the gems like the Final Fantasy 7s and all that lot. No, I was very, very young. I was only like 4 or 5 years old, and around the 1997, 1998 era. And so, when the Dreamcast came out, I just had my PS1 and PS2. I was very, very kind of linear as a kid in my gaming console. But then again, I had a bit of a difficult kind of childhood. You know, I have Asperger's, and so I was extremely volatile and violent as a child, and I spent a lot of years not at home. So I'm unfortunately catching up. I feel very out of my depth when it comes to speaking to people like Persona Speaks, and Chris Righteous, people who have kind of grown up with all the systems. Hardcore gamers like Buck Roger, he knows every games console there is, and he's a proper retro fanatic. But yeah, for me, I'm just not. I didn't have that environment.
All right, so we're gonna skip the NES, and we're gonna go to Game Boy Advanced.
Pokemon. It's got to be Pokemon.
Okay. Are we allowed to say Dreamcast?
Yeah. Yes. Star Fox.
For Dreamcast.
No, Nintendo. That's Nintendo, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did I put? My friend had the Dreamcast, and I'm really like, bro. I just didn't have those consoles.
That's fair. That's fair. So we're gonna skip that one as well, and we'll go into PS3.
PS3. I don't know why. It's just the first game that pops into my mind is Warhawk. But I loved PS3 era, man. Like,
this is an interesting era.
Yeah, Metal Gear Solid 4, Warhawk, Starhawk. There were some phenomenal games, and then you had obviously Resistance, and but yeah, I'd say the first game that pops into my head was Warhawk.
Okay. How about Xbox 360?
So it would be Gears of War, but I was at my cousin's and I used to play his 360 a lot. And I played a lot of Oblivion and a lot of Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter, even though that's not an exclusive. It was kind of, I swear they had the marketing rights back then for that game. But yeah, that's the first game that comes to my mind when I think.
That's fair. You don't have to say an exclusive game to that console. I'm just saying, when you think of holding the sticks, what do you think that you're playing right now? So that's fine. That one works out just fine. How about Switch?
Breath. It's just so it's so typical, isn't it? Breath of the Wild. But I love Astral Chain. I think Astral Chain is next level. It's gorgeous, and it's a pretty amazing game. But Breath of the Wild is the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of Switch.
All right, and then the last one we're gonna end this subject on is PC. And I'm talking about, you can go as far back or present as you want. Don't matter.
Oh, PC, man.
It's probably sad, but the first thing I always think of is Oregon Trail.
So I'll tell you, like, I had this shitty little Toshiba laptop. Now I have a 3070 beast of a rig. But I used to be absolutely addicted to Thief Deadly Shadows.
What? I have a buddy that's playing that right now, and he absolutely loves it, even though he's like, dude, this game is 30 frames, but jumping from roof to roof to roof is awesome.
Bro, Thief Deadly Shadows is like, I just love that game. And I used to play that game so much, so when I think of PC, that game pops into my head. But obviously, like, Star Citizen comes to mind. I don't know why, because I think that's like the next Crisis, isn't it? That's the next PCMR, PC Master Race kind of game to kind of cap for. But I've got it, actually. Just never bothered really playing it much. But I also, when I think of PC, I also think of the Total War series and Rome Total War as well. Yeah, right. I'm sorry about the Dreamcast question. I think Sonic now comes to mind.
Yes, Sonic is on there. Yep.
I played a lot of Sonic on a Dreamcast, but I can't remember where the Dreamcast was. I don't know whose house it was. My mind's a bit of a blur, bro, when I think about my childhood, let me tell you.
I tell you what, a lot of people, when I ask them about the Dreamcast, they always say I played it at my buddy's house. Not a lot of them say they had the Dreamcast. A lot of them said, oh man, I remember that. That was great. I played it at my buddy's house. It's like, nobody owned it. I owned a Dreamcast.
If I was older, if I was in my mid to late 30s now, I would have owned a Nintendo. I would have owned a Dreamcast. But it just with my particular background, the way I was brought up, and the fact that I was hardly ever at home as well. I just had what I was given. I just had what I had, and I didn't really get much else. But I think I was shaped very much by Metal Gear Solid. When I was 4 years old, my mum would watch me play it, and I remember beating it at 4 years old. It's crazy.
That's tough. That's crazy, man. Because that game ain't easy either.
But she would watch me play it to calm me down, because I would really struggle with my anger and with my frustration and my emotions. And so to calm me down, she would sit with me, and I just wanted her to watch me. I wanted her to see what I was doing and what was happening. So and yeah, that's how what got me into gaming really is is that PS1.
That's badass, man. That is really cool. But let's go on to something that's kind of in a different direction. What's one genre of video games that you're just like, nah? not playing it.
So I'm working on it. I am working on it. It's a work in progress. But Japanese RPGs, I have always struggled with, right?
Okay.
And Chris and Kofi, Creative Kofi and Chris Wright, just like kind of rip into me about it. They don't rip into me, but I tell them my frustrations that I don't know what it is, whether it's an ADHD thing, but I'm just really can't get into JRPGs. And yet I've just been playing some Type 0, some Final Fantasy Type 0 to try and work my way, and the intro shocks me. Wow, mind blown.
I've never played that game.
Crazy intro, bro. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. I was not expecting that, and it left me pretty emotional. But yeah,
Wow.
and I'm enjoying the combat. It's actually surprisingly intuitive, and got depth to it, and satisfying. But yeah, I've always struggled with the JRPG genre. Another game that I'm trying, I've worked on trying to enjoy, and then the penny dropped, and I was like, holy shit, this is, I get it now. I get it. It's Judgment. I was playing Judgment, and wow, what an incredible game. Like, next level. It's hilarious. Play it in Japanese and with English subtitles. Trust me on this.
Is there a difference? Do they say some other stuff, or?
Yeah, there is a difference, and it's because the spirit of what's being said is captured in Japanese. The humor, the spirit, and the nuance, right? Whereas it's not as present in the American voice act. Yes, the American voice acting is stellar; it's really good, but there's a certain irony that Japanese implement in humor, like almost almost like backhanded kind of
Little
just very
a few
good
undertones in there that wouldn't be available in English.
They're very good with all. I guess you could call it black comedy, but not quite black comedy. Like for example, I don't know if black comedy is a word in America. Whether you guys know what black comedy is. I don't mean black people being comedians. I don't mean that. I mean it's actually a term used to define, like, the film Dog Soldiers. Have you seen Dog Soldiers?
I have not.
It's a fantastic film. Watch it. But here is a guy with his guts spilling out after a werewolf hits him, and he's going, "Oh, you effing this, you effing that," and whilst he's in this terrible pain, this Cockney guy, he's like, "Come on, then. Come on, your grannies are effing this," and like a proper, and it's hilarious, bro, because he's in this terrible situation, but there's so much humor being brought out of that situation, and that's what black comedy is. It's coined black comedy in Britain, right?
Okay.
That's what we call it. It's a genre.
No, that makes sense. I've seen several comedy things like that, and I didn't know there was a definition behind it. So thank you.
Yeah. It's basically strong, almost sadistic satire and irony. But not sadistic. It's basically satire and irony in horror, or negative situations. Okay. Right? It doesn't just mean horror. And Judgment has a scene, right, where you're sneaking in as a disguise as somebody who's fixing a ventilation system, and you've purposely sabotaged it so that you can sneak in as a ventilation system guy. And whilst you're in this building, your friend is trying to stop the real guy who's here to fix the ventilation system from fixing the ventilation system. And so whilst he's trying to prevent him from entering the building, he's like, "You're not allowed here, just F off, we don't need you. And the guy's like, "Are you sure? I received a phone call, I'm needed." And he's like trying to figure out a way to get him to go. And then he goes, "Oh, actually, I really need the bathroom. Can I just go and use the bathroom?" And he just went, "Then shit yourself." And he goes, "What?" And the reaction, it's just hilarious, right? I was crying, but it's not there. It just doesn't hit the same in the American version, because he goes, "Shit yourself for all I care." And
Aww, the energy just isn't there.
You see the point?
Yes, I see what you're saying.
then shit yourself. It's like in his eyes, it's like a clear solution, and it's like that kind of bluntness to it's just, mate, it's gold. It's gold. So
It feels
yeah,
original and not redone.
exactly.
Because that's what
And
voiceovers are. They can be, they can feel very redone to the point where it's like, I feel like you're talking to me like a stupid person.
yeah, exactly. I know, 100%. And the spirit of that was intended to be there. That subtle thing that turned that into a hilarious moment, but it wasn't there in the American version. In the Japanese version, it's a solution. In the American version, it's a dismissal.
Okay.
And there's a difference. And it's like, it's hilarious, bro. It's just, yeah. So yeah, play Judgment. But yeah, I've always struggled with JRPGs. I tried the Final Fantasy remake, and I've spent 30 hours in that game, and every second is me trying to love it.
That's how I feel about
And
Yakuza, man. I've tried that game like, I want to say like 3 or 4 times, man, and my buddy or like my other co-host Loke loves that game, loves everything about it, and he's told me go like just push through it, just push. And each time I push into it, I'm just like, man, I just can't do this right now, man. Like I'm always thinking about another game whenever I'm playing those games. I wish I could really just focus in on it, but I don't know what it is, but it's hard.
so yeah, no, I agree. So yeah, JRPGs, I'd say, and slashes, hack and slashes, Devil May Cry, all that stuff. I just struggle, bro. I just struggle to enjoy them.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Well, let's go back the other direction to the positive area and talk about what is your best 3 games this year. And out of those 3 games, what is your game of the year?
So, best 3 games of the year. Returnal. Really enjoyed that game a lot. And I would also say but does this game count? I've been playing a lot of games like that are old that aren't released this year, but I'm loving. I don't know if those kind of games count.
You can tell me those games, but go back to the 3 games this year.
Okay. All right.
So I want you to be able to pick one of those 3 games, which right now I'm having a feeling it's going to be Returnal, because right now you can't even tell me 2 other ones.
And I'm getting blanks. I'm trying to see the games that I've been freaking playing, bro. I've been playing a lot of my PC of late, but well, I've not played Lost Judgment. I've been playing a lot. See, the problem with me, I've been playing a lot of Death Stranding. I've been playing a lot of Ghost of Tsushima.
Okay.
But they're director's cuts, right? They were released last year, so a lot of my time.
Okay, well, if you want to use Ghost of Tsushima, I think that's fair because it did come out with a director's cut this year, where the game does feel a little different.
Don't use Ghost of Tsushima. Use Death Stranding, right? So I'd say Death Stranding, Returnal, and I love Doom Eternal, but that was last year as well, or the year before. I've tried, mate. It's been flipping heck. I mean, I played Ratchet and Clank. I enjoyed it, but it didn't really hit for me. I played Miles Morales this year. I didn't play it last year. So, I mean,
I'll count Miles Morales because I feel like, I mean, those games came out right at the end of the year last year.
Well, if that's the case, then it would easily be Demon's Souls, Miles Morales. It would be Demon's Souls, Miles Morales, and Returnal. Those
okay.
are the.
And what's number 1?
Demon's Souls.
Demon's Souls. I did not see that coming. That came out of nowhere.
Yeah, it would be Demon's Souls. Returnal's solid. I love it. It's a great game. but I think Demon Souls deserves all the love, and it's kind of missed out on all the love because it was not included. It's not included in this year's best game. If it was released this year, it would be this year's best game. Do you know what I mean?
Fair enough.
And when it did release, it was kind of, it only had 2 months to shine. But yeah, no, I'd say Demon Souls for me. Demon Souls, Returnal, and yeah, Death Stranding.
You know, not only did that game have only a couple of months to shine, but it also didn't have a whole lot of users because not a lot of people had a PS5.
It's true. It's true. It released. Being a launch title didn't do it justice. But at the same time, people seem to be avoiding it. I don't know why. But I loved Demon Souls when it back in. I think it was like. I think I bought it in like 2010, 2011.
Yeah, it was a PS3 game, right?
Yeah, yeah. And or was it?
I think that's like 2013 is when those consoles came out.
I'm saying 20. Yeah, I had 2013 in my mind. So yeah, that I loved it. I ordered it directly from Japan, and I had the Japanese version. And oh mate, I sunk like hundreds of hours into Demon Souls. Kind of just captured my imagination, you know. So to revisit it again, you know, in all its visual splendor, yeah, it's fire. I love it.
I bet with the because it's 60 frames as well, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I bet it felt really good to move around.
It did. Yeah.
Because I played plenty of 30 frame games and then hop back up to 60, and I was just like, man, I remember this game giving me a headache, and now it doesn't. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. It's like I also, but it's weird, you know, because I'm a bit odd. Like I've just been trying to enjoy a bit of Far Cry 3, but I can't play
that's
it.
Still,
bro,
that's still 30 frames, yeah.
And it's so difficult to play, and I'm like, holy shit, how could I have enjoyed this years ago? Like, it's crazy. Whereas there are some 30 FPS games or modes that I prefer, and it's weird, you know. I think Miles Morales feels so much better at 30.
Really? I liked it at 60.
I know it sounds crazy, bro.
That does sound crazy, bro.
But the world feels faster. The world passes you faster. It feels like it does. It doesn't at all. But it's almost like the FOV has gone up, even though it hasn't. It kind of just gives you this feeling that you're swinging through the city.
The snow does look fantastic at the quality mode, though. For it, just like
the frost, yeah, it has like frost on the lens, and on the skyscrapers, the frost sits on the windows, and I think that's kind of not doesn't feel like that's there in the performance art, even in the performance RT mode. It just doesn't feel quite as there. And when I turn it to the visual mode, suddenly the city feels alive. I don't know why, it just does. So I mean, yeah, 60 plays a whole lot better, and it's a shock to the system when you jump to 60. It's like, holy shit. But at the same time, I think it's easy to conflate that holy shit with this is better. But at the same time, with Miles Morales, I don't think it's that important, 60 FPS. And there are benefits that are lost. It's like also with The Last of Us 2 and with God of War 2018. Although I would inevitably prefer the 60 FPS mode, that the shutter speed hasn't been adjusted, so the motion blur is lost. And because of that, it just feels a bit, I hate the word, it's used too often, but floaty.
Okay.
It's like the animations aren't designed to be at 60.
I understand what you're saying. Because there is some games, like I was playing Senua's Sacrifice. I beat that game for Xbox. They gave it they gave it a boost, the whole fidelity and everything with it. Everything's supposed to be like able to run super nice, super fast now. and I was playing with it on 60, and there was some moments where I was literally floating, where I was just like literally just kind of like sliding, and I was just like, huh. Like, I don't remember that happening on the 30 FPS mode at all. But like, I totally get what you're talking about on the kind of floaty feeling and feeling like you're not really like like
solid.
grabbing
You
at the
don't,
ground.
you don't feel solid. You don't feel solid in like you're weighty. You know,
It's almost too smooth.
And and I know this is kind of it's easy to be mocked with that opinion. But I think it's very often dismissed and mocked and laughed at. But I do genuinely believe there is a certain cinematic visual feel and weight to the game that is lost in a lot of 60 FPS modes that I want. And I don't think I'd enjoy Uncharted 4 anywhere near as much at 60 FPS because I don't think it looks as impressive. Even if the resolution it stays the same, the graphics haven't been altered in any way, but purely the frame rate is increased. It doesn't look as good because there's a certain way that it stops feeling like a playable film, and it starts feeling like a game. And there's a certain immersion that's kind of, for me anyway, kind of dismissed. It is lost. Whereas some games, 60 FPS for me is vital, like Demon Souls. I would never play that at 30 again. So for me, it's weird. There's no consistency there with me. It's just kind of this feeling that I've got when I'm playing a game, and I don't know why. But for me, it's a bit hit and miss with the resolution thing. You know.
Mm-hmm.
First-person shooters.
I think this is a great conversation, and I feel like we should have like a debate or some sort of like poll or something to see like is like do you feel that there is a need for 30 FPS in video games, or do you think they should just trim the fat and just go straight to 60 all the time? And for me, I like being able to bounce back and forth because it's just fun to me. I like to be able to be like, that looks really cool, but let me back out real quick and then hop back into it in complete quality mode. And like I said, I seen that on Spider-Man. I was like, man, the snow is looking really freaking good on quality mode. But like the attack moments are a little rougher in the 30 frames.
Yeah. Once the judder, once your eyes adjust, the judder stops with the 30, but the responsiveness still isn't there. I agree. The 30 FPS does affect combat and responsiveness, so that's a sacrifice that you have to make. Whereas I do think that, just to think about this, if 60 FPS only was the way to go, we never would have got The Last of Us 2 as it was. That released with 30 in mind because it was pushing the console to its limits. And you need games that push the console to its limits. And if the PS5 is pushed to its limits, I would never expect 60 FPS to be the only option to go. Because I'd expect a 60 FPS mode with sacrifices. But I certainly don't think 30 FPS should ever go. Because I think it enables games to be pushed and then scaled down so that they can run at 60.
Fair enough. Very good points. All right, well, let's move on to the next one, which is like, what is the most exciting game that you're waiting for right now? Since you named all the games in the past that you enjoyed, let's talk about what's upcoming. What's that game that I'm sorry, do it again.
It's got to be God of War Ragnarok.
Okay.
Okay. But that's short term. I wasn't a huge Horizon fan, so Horizon Forbidden West, I'm excited for it. I will get it, 100%. I will get it. Sorry, I'm just stopping my PlayStation from switching off because it's on the timer. But for some reason, whenever it auto switches itself off, the I've got a USB drive, and it virtually breaks it, and I have to reformat it and stuff. So I'm just trying to prevent the timer from shutting it off.
No worries.
But I'd say in the future, I'm excited about the potential games that, you've got the Spider-Man 2, and apparently the swinging is going to be 180% faster in the game, because it's built specifically for the PS5, which is pretty exciting. But then you've got like Project Magnum, and Project Magnum looks pretty dope. It's like a Division style slash, imagine Outriders, but far more polished and better.
Yeah,
That looks
man.
pretty,
That was a
that looks pretty
letdown,
cool.
polish wise.
I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for a decent online shooter. And Project Magnum looks pretty exciting for me. Pragmata, I want to see more of that. I want to see what that's about. It kind of gave me almost Hideo Kojima vibes. And Pragmata is very little known. Project Awakening, if that's apparently still in development, but we've not heard much about that. But that's almost like a Dragon's Dogma-esque kind of game, and I love Dragon's Dogma, so I'm all for that. But yeah, there are the kind of the mainstream, like the Spider-Man 2s, which they're a no-brainer, they're a given. Of course, I'm excited for that. But yeah, there are these other games like Project Magnum, Pragmata, and Project Awakening that I think are going to be ones to not sleep on.
Okay. Very good. Now, let's go back a little bit old school, and I'm hoping that you can pick two fairly easily. I'm going to ask you this question. If you were to revive two games, not publishers or developers, just two games, what two games would they be?
So it would be the
Complete
first one
overhauls.
would be Warhawk.
Okay.
100%. I think that game was something special, right? And it needs to be brought back, that franchise. The other is Resistance 3. I mean, or Resistance in general. I played some Resistance 3. I didn't pick it up when it launched. I never picked it up on PS3. I don't know why. The Resistance games never really appealed to me. I played the first one, and it didn't really do much for me. I don't know why. I was a Killzone, so I was a sucker for Killzone, right? And I'd love Killzone 2 to be brought back as well. By the way, the Killzone franchise, 100% bring that back. But I played some Resistance 3 on PS Now, and holy shit, that game is pretty impressive. Like the visuals that they were pushing at the time, the way the camera moves, it's very cinematic, and I didn't know that. For whatever reason, I didn't appreciate that when I was younger. But looking at it today, there's a visual kind of style with the camera that they're going for with that game that isn't done in modern shooters today. That I really like. So yeah, I'd say.
You'd say Resistance, and what was the first one again?
Resistance and Warhawk.
Warhawk, that's right.
And Killzone as a special mention.
You had to toss that in.
That's for sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are missing that game.
No, Killzone 2, to this day, is one of my all-time favorite shooters. I just think that wow, what a game.
See, now, like, when people mention games like that, it makes me a little sad because I missed out on the PS3 and the PS4 generations. I was completely Xbox.
Xbox 360.
Yep, yeah. I was 360.
That was an incredible
and
console, bro. Like, I don't blame you. I mean, Gears of War captured hearts, minds. It was phenomenal. Like that shootout when you're fighting the Horde at the petrol station, at the gas station, is just nuts. Like, oh wow, I just, yeah, I love that. I loved the 360 whenever I played it at my cousin's. But the PS3 era, mate, it's a lot more special than people give it credit for. A lot of people missed out on the PS3 era because they were all either 360 or they were put off by the launch of the PS3 and how it launched. So,
Well, yeah, it launched. It was so dang expensive, man. It was so dang expensive when it first came out because I think they were talking like $600 or something like that just for the. I think that was for like the top model or something like that was like $600 or $800, but it was crazy expensive when it first came out. So it made the 360 an easy pickup for myself, just for money reasons. It had nothing to do with because I mean I had the PS2, I had the previous Xbox, I had the PlayStation 1, which is one of my favorite consoles of all time because I was able to make my American PlayStation a Japanese PlayStation. So it was really cool. Yeah, I bought this little thing. It was like a spring.
I'm tempted to buy a PS3 again just to play all them games again. Like,
yeah. It's crazy that PS4 wasn't backwards
compatible. I've never
compatible.
been a collector, and I regret that. It's one of my biggest regrets not being a collector.
Yeah, that was really cool that they actually did backwards compatible for the PS3. That was awesome. But it was really weird that they didn't do it for the PS4.
Yeah, big letdown.
Yeah, big time. But moving on. Now that you named those two games, we're going to jump off to something a little bit darker. Let's now ask you real quick, what frustrates you the most about game? Like if you had to get one thing off your chest, let it out.
If personally for me, it's struggling to stick to them. So that's my issue with me on games. Yeah, is ADHD. I think it's something to do with that. But I struggle to give a game the time it deserves. I'm only a few hours into Scarlet Nexus and also Nier Replicant. I'm struggling, bro. I'm struggling with both of them. I've not picked them up. I don't know what it is.
Give Scarlet Nexus some patience, man. You got to.
I need to. Yeah, you're right. But I struggle with that. So that's my biggest frustration on me. With games themselves, I had it in my head. I'd thought of the answer. I promise you, I prepared. I just didn't write it down. With games itself, I think it's relying on the same old ass tropes and a lack of compare Far Cry 6 to Far Cry 3. What the hell's the difference? You know, it's too much emphasis on visuals rather than immersion. But I don't want to sound like I'm criticizing devs when I can't make a game myself. You know, I think it's very impressive what they do. But I'm looking forward I'm very excited for this generation because the hardware can now allow the design of games to be different. Whereas from PS2 to PS4, the design of games hasn't changed. And I think I'm a bit tired of it.
Fair.
I'm a bit tired with them, and I'm struggling to find that special something, you know.
For me, it's like when an artist makes a song that's already been made. It's like, God damn it! I've heard this song before, by somebody else, but now I got to hear it from you too, I guess.
Just relying on the 4 chords, you know. The C, G, A minor, and F, and that's all they know and all they can use. And I want some B minors. I want, you know what I mean? I want some D7s.
Absolutely. All right, sweet. So, moving on to the next question. What would be a dream come true for you in gaming? Like, what's something that just pops out and it's going to be like, man, this is like the holy grail?
Honestly, like a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. I have a Metal Gear Solid 3 tattoo and a Metal Gear Solid 1 tattoo. But a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake for me would make me cry tears of joy if I ever saw it announced. 100%. Or to meet Hideo Kojima himself. I am the biggest, like, I just love that guy. I think he's incredible. I would love to meet him. They're probably big dreams of mine.
So
yeah.
Metal Gear 3 is the remake that you need. That would be what you would ask the genie.
Bro, that is for me the cream and the cherry and the cake.
Oh damn! You said it's all the layers.
bro. Yeah, I mean, it's nuts. That game. Let me tell you, I had a very addictive personality as a kid. As I've gotten older, I think kind of like in my old age, the ADHD has kind of taken over a little bit, and I'm struggling now with my attention span on things and struggling as much. But when I was younger, I could play Metal Gear Solid 3, 80 hours of it in a week easily. Like I was just, and I would play it over and over and over and over and over and over again, just to try out different things, to play it different ways. I've probably played that game between 9 and 12 times, and to be able to have it remade would just be, I just love that game so much. I think it's just, to this day, it does things that no other games do, or very few games do. But yeah, that would be it. MGS3 remake.
Lovely. Like I said, Loke is gonna.
To ask you this question.
Well, I'm sorry. What's that?
I'd love to know your answer to that question. What would you want?
What would be my dream come true in the game in gaming? Okay. I'd like to see. This is gonna sound crazy. I'd like to see Sega come out with a new system that can hang.
Oh shit! Oh wow! Yeah, that would be something.
And just capture the Japanese market again. Just another Nintendo Sega battle for the ages. One to end all wars.
Facts, bro. Yeah.
That would be so cool to me, but I know that has no content.
Could you imagine?
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
Oh man.
There's another thing that I would say, and it's, I don't know if you ever played it, Spider-Man 2 back in 2004. Do you remember that?
Yeah, for the original PlayStation, right?
PS2.
Wait, yeah, PS2, my bad.
That game's done things. That game did things that to this day aren't done, even in the new Spider-Man games. And the webs had real physics, so they would attach to buildings, and they could get caught on trees and wrap around them, and get caught on lampposts and wrap around them. And
I was way too naive to notice all that. Right? When I was playing that, I was too naive.
But it added a depth to the gameplay and a level of skill-based reward that I didn't get with the 2018 Spider-Man. And I would be so happy if, it sounds a bit petty, but if Spider-Man 2 coming out, they overhaul the swinging to not just be textures shooting out your arm whilst you're pseudo flying, but with swinging animations. Like you have this anti-collision thing that stops you from hitting the ground even if your web's too long. The web isn't a real rope. It's not legit, and it clips through the buildings as well. And there's just a level of freedom that's been lost, and I would love them to go back to the drawing board with the swinging and take a leaf out of Spider-Man 2 from 2004's page, because then that could probably push itself to be my favorite PS5 game easily so far. and probably one of my favorite games of the entire last 20 years. If that game did come out with an overhauled swinging that implemented real physics to the swinging, I don't know why, it just, that's something that I'm really, really wanting. I know it sounds like such an Asperger's thing, doesn't it? But it's just it's so anal and so kind of like this small little detail needs fixing quick. But bro, it just is a big issue for me.
It's fair. I mean, level of detail is a big deal, and especially when you add detail like that in something previous.
Yeah, its mechanical depth has been lost. Games have gotten not lazy. I can't call the devs lazy, but games have regressed in certain level of depth in terms of mechanics and physics, even, and AI. And Spider-Man, comparing Spider-Man 2 to Spider-Man 2018 as a perfect example of that. Yes, so much has improved, but it's all surface level. It's skin deep. It's not, the swinging didn't feel immersive for me. It felt automatic. Everything was being done for me, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
And it's, I feel like it's because a lot of games are starting to become like too realistic to the point to where you're starting to lose out on, hey, this is a video game. Like Last of Us, I thought was a great example of what realistic needs to be. But some games feel like, I don't know, like kind of what you're saying about Spider-Man right now. Like, you're focusing so much on all this realistic stuff that you forget that I'm playing this game because it's not real. I want it to do some like crazy weird stuff, like the webs all over the trees, or have all these webs just hanging around that I just got done using.
You could tie a thug to a lamppost and use him as a punch bag. And he would swing when you hit him, because again, the webs were real ropes, they were real physics.
That's crazy.
You could grapple a guy, go up to the Empire State Building, and dive bomb him from the top.
You're right.
Hit the ground.
I did dumb stuff like that in that game. You're right.
In Spider-Man 2, you could kill people, right?
It was ruthless.
But you can't. You could go to the Statue of Liberty and hang off a helicopter. You could literally rope a helicopter and hang on it, and turn yourself upside down, and the helicopter would take you to the Statue of Liberty.
That's so cool.
And there is so much that has been lost. And that game is so overlooked and underrated, but it is one of the most mechanically impressive games ever made, easily. From when you. It was way ahead of its time, and it was made by Treyarch, Activision. It's crazy.
That's an Activision game, I thought. Yeah, nice.
It's crazy, bro. It's crazy. Like, and people don't appreciate or understand where I'm coming from when I say Spider-Man 2 on PS2 was a better game than Spider-Man 2018 in so many ways. And like, how can you say that? It looks shit compared to. Of course it does. Go figure.
Was that the video game where you put eel gnats in and you get everything?
You put, right? Are you ready?
Stan Lee backwards.
HCRAYERT, and it unlocks. It 100% the game for you, and it's Treyarch backwards.
Oh, okay. That's hilarious.
I remember HCRAYERT.
Yeah, dude, cheat codes. Dude, I remember being a little kid. Cheat codes were so much fun after you got done beating the game.
Up, down, left, right.
Oh yeah, I still remember the cheat code to the original Mortal Kombat, where it turned my entire screen red and it enabled like uppercuts to where people would fall down the pit and stuff like that, but. Like, I don't remember the last time I put in a cheat code for a video game. I don't remember. Because GTA was probably the last game that I really put a bunch of cheat codes in. And I think it was GTA San Andreas was probably the last one I put a ton of cheat codes into, because that game was hella fun after you beat it. To just go around on a jetpack with dual Uzis and just blast up everything. It was pretty crazy. All right, so here's a question that has nothing to do with gaming. What do you like to do outside of gaming?
So I love playing guitar. I love music. Um, I was in a band for 3 years. Um, I love hitting the gym, though I've not been for a long time, but I plan to make a return soon. Um, I love seeing friends. Uh, but yeah, I used to do a lot of voluntary work where I would help rehabilitate people. Um, but I've not done that for a while. But that was a big, I guess you could call it a hobby of mine. Um,
That's awesome.
but yeah, to be honest, bro, like, I'm one of them people with a history, and my history has kind of resulted in me being in a situation today where I don't see a lot of the people that I used to. I sad to say I've kind of lost a lot. Um, but it makes me more grateful for what I've still got. And I have a beautiful fiance. I spend a lot of time with her. She keeps my head steady, keeps me on a steady ground. And although I don't see my friends as I used to, or I've lost a lot of friends too, I've gained a great community here on Twitter. And the Twitter community, believe it or not, I do think a lot of them, and they have become quite an important part of my social life in a weird way. I know that sounds, people might think that sounds quite sad. Maybe it does, maybe
Oh,
it is.
whatever. That's how I met my co-host. Was because of Twitter. So people can get the hell out of here with that garbage.
I've gained real friends,
Yes.
and people that I care about, and one day I hope I'll meet in person. What I plan to meet in person. So yeah, I'm not as active in the things that I used to do, but I'm more active in new things. I'm more active, like I've created a YouTube channel. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment in my life. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit ambiguous.
Nah, man, you're just being you, and that's exactly who I wanted on the show. So that's just fine. Now the last thing I'm gonna have you do, and this might shock you a little bit, but I'm gonna have you describe gaming in 3 words. No ands or anything, just 3 words.
3 words. Okay. Imagination interactively visualized.
Damn, that was deep. I didn't expect that. You went digging for that one. That was pretty good. That was probably the most intellectual one that I've had so far on my show.
That's such a good question, man. I love it.
Yeah, man, it's supposed to kind of catch you off guard, but at the same time still be fun.
Yeah, bro. I love that question. Mate, can I just say, you host the best interview ever. Like, seriously, the questions that you ask and the way that you dig deep, but the questions that you have as well, and also the way that you present yourself, you're a real credit, bro, to your channel. You're a credit to yourself.
Thank you.
And I would definitely love to have you on the show if ever you would like to come on the podcast sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it would be an honor. But you're incredibly good at hosting interviews, and I think you've got a bright future ahead of you if you wish to pursue that further. I think you should definitely maybe push some of these interviews out and show what you do, because I think you could take it to the professional league where you get paid for doing this kind of stuff.
That'd be super dope, and I'd sure love to do something like that. But I ain't trying to get too ahead of myself right now. I'm just having fun, meeting people,
keeping it humble,
and
bro.
just trying to, trying to keep it moving in a positive direction, because it's just so easy to to whine and complain about stuff, especially in the middle of a pandemic. I'm trying to be something that people can look forward to. Is like, hey man, I actually follow that person. Let me go see what they're about, and just see that the person behind the controller, man, this is a real person. They have real feelings. They're not making this isn't somebody I'm bringing onto a show that has a sock account that I know of. I mean, you could, but this is who I want to talk to, and this is who I reached out to speak with.
My surname is Woolley, and that's why I'm called Woolley Gamer. You've seen my face, you know my name. I'm not trying to be anybody else. I put myself out here in the community because I wanted to, I guess, personally, firstly, it was because I was too excited about next gen consoles. But what I didn't realize was there was an entire community that is just so like amazing. And so yeah, I'm very, very honored to be part of it and happy to be part of it. So thank you for having me, my dude.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm honored to have you on the show, man. You're a great guy, really nice dude, and really a person that I'd like to keep my eye on, especially with some of the content that you were talking about. I just think it's fun when you have some people that are knowledgeable, but they're still arguing like regular people do. So I'm ready to see some more of that. That's for sure. But anyways, Mr. Woolley Gamer, thank you for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me. It's been
Absolutely.
awesome.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, you guys. This is your boy Ham Solo with Behind Them Sticks, and we are out.
Peace.